Meeting to order at 6:05. I have nothing to report out of closed session, and if you can all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey. Tell me something good time.
Okay, I have Tell Me Something Good Time tonight, and we have all the ladies in the back. So first of all of our fall athletic teams did outstanding this year. Both of our soccer teams made the playoffs. They did, the boys and girls team, and they lost in the first round, unfortunately. For volleyball, our 8th grade girls made the playoffs, and they lost in the first round. Our 7th grade girls are here tonight because they are champions of the league, and they won their... And then our 8th grade boys, or our boys team, 6th through 8th grade, lost in the championship as well. So a lot of success in the fall with our teams, and I really look forward to basketball in the winter. So we'll see how we do. The awesome part about this is these are 7th graders, so they get an opportunity to defend their title next year. So I'm going to read your names, ladies, and you can come up and get your certificate and shake everybody's hand, okay? All right, first up, Vivian Bullis. Go ahead. Hey, here, Benita. Hobble up here. Can you shake everybody's hand, or is that going to be difficult?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Sorry.
Okay, next up, Azul Acevedo. Olivia Fiorenza. Brooke Baxter. Remy Plymouth. Hey, next up, Kalina Chow. That'll work. Okay, next up now here, Caitlin Frizzell. Patty Snell. Okay, Jasmine Chang. Hey, Sienna Koyman. Lauren Sparks. Caitlin Ray. And lastly, Juliana Manning. So congratulations.
And you all do not have to stay.
And Lisa, Coach Lisa, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to station update. This is an opportunity for board members or staff to make a brief announcement or make a brief report on his or her own activity. Start down with you.
I met with Gina and Gerardo with my questions about possible transition to community.
I did the same thing, and then one of the things I've been asking for is county data. So we have your newer data, and I guess we'll hear on that later. But yeah, thank you for all you're doing in addition to your regular jobs. Thank you.
I was able to tour Coral Park School and Washington Union School, which is always inspiring and also fun, and also attended the middle school costume contest on Halloween. Thank you, Mr. Hogan, and thank you, Mr. Snell. That was fun, too.
I got to visit Toro as well and Washington Union. I had a day off that I got to go out there and see. It was always fun to go out and see schools that I haven't been able to see in a while. Got lots of good time in the classroom. I also was at the Harvest Carnival and got to have lots of fun with that. See all the different games and vendors, and just kids enjoyed themselves for a good couple hours. It's a lot of fun.
I also met with Gina Gerardo regarding some questions and information. And then I attended what was it called, Joe?
F3 Special Ed Law Symposium.
Yeah, very long symposium on Friday that was very insightful, informative, and a lot of information around SPED. So,
We had our monthly superintendent's coffee, and Molly Hansen presented on mental fitness, which was great. We had our second meeting of our committee on community funding. I went to the district advisory council meeting that Lily hosted. I met with several of the board members, and then I also met with several parents and community members. I attended a session that's part of a series on AI through the county office. It was on media literacy. I also attended the Harvest Carnival. I attended the monthly superintendent's council at the county office. We had our monthly superintendent's advisory meeting. We had school site council. We had a secretary's meeting. I went to the STAR meeting, and then I got to I got to help out in the TK classroom with their art lesson. So that's fun.
Okay, I also got to help in TK with the art lesson with Gina. That was very fun. I attended truancy abatement training. We had welcoming schools training at San Venancio. We had our fire drill and earthquake combination, to which the fire department came and evaluated us, and we did really well. Just a couple quick fixes. We had to move a refrigerator and move an extension cord, so it was really easy. We did great. So good stuff there. We had school site council. We had Unity Day at San Venancio. We took part in District Right. I attended the carnival and was in the dunk tank. It's fun. I have fun, but I was pretty cold at the end. I attended the monthly SELPA cabinet meeting for special education. We had Spirit Week, and Andy did a great job with Spirit Week and the costume contest. I went with Ms. Commons, our OT, to visit a therapeutic intervention program that's located at La Jolla school. We are just looking at programs around the county to kind of see what they're like. We have a visit to Bard Blade School scheduled in December to look at a TK autism class, to which we've referred. I'll talk a little bit about it tonight in my presentation, but to which we've referred a few students, and we've never seen the program. So we thought that we really need to go look at it, see it, and know where we're referring our students to. I went to the AI training. We had district advisory. I attended the committee meeting, superintendent's coffee, F3 Law Symposium, and then we had Sunset Center doing presentations in PE today with Mr. Snell and Miss All.
I was also at the Harvest Carnival. I snagged that first dunk tank spot, so I was very comfortable. We had some great fall festival activities at Toro Park, the costume parade, and the grade level activities. Been working with the teachers to start up the after school tutoring program at Toro Park, and the first session will get going next week. Troubleshooted some Wi-Fi at Washington and got them reconnected. So thank you to MCOE support for that. I completed the last session of PD on artificial intelligence through AXA, the AI Rising, and the last session was on AI policy development, which is great because we met as a tech committee for the first time, and we're going to be acting as the task force to help develop a proposed board policy for artificial intelligence. I attended the F3 Law Symposium, the Committee on Community Funding.
At Washington, we had our second Taco Tuesday. It was delicious. We had a very successful book fair. We also participated in the Great Shakeout. Our art club did painted dolphins this month. It was really cool. This next week, we're going to do little pots out of clay. I hosted the school site council. I also went to the carnival. I feel like now I have to be in the dunk tank next year. We had a great Spirit Week. The kids, student council members come up with the themes, and they're always so much fun. We had our Halloween parade. A huge shout out to the parents who did the Halloween parties. Those were fantastic. I hosted our DAC meeting, the District Advisory Council. We had a pizza day. I also attended the community funding meeting. We had some great student council elections this past week. Our fifth graders are going to science school, which you'll hear more from Ms. Hogue in a little bit. I'm also partnering with the Monterey County Regional Fire Department to get a CPR class for everyone so that they can go and just do it with their colleagues, which is great. And lastly, we are in the thick of our spelling bee. So we just finished all the written rounds, and on Friday we will have our final oral round.
Thank you.
Mike, how's everything going with the traffic in front of the forum right now?
It's going okay. There was an incident where one of the county crew had his foot run over by a kind of cut through motorist, where the individuals just following their GPS.
Oh.
So we have a meeting scheduled next week with the team from the county to just try and figure out some different ways we can help avoid the cut through traffic, because really the regular commuters and the community, I mean, they know what's going on. It's a lot of the people that are really just following
Google Maps, Waze, yeah, understood, and not paying attention in the school district.
Yeah, so I kind of have a few agenda items to discuss ways to kind of help mitigate that. I'm doing like the user reported, like road closures in the Google Maps app.
Oh, that's not a bad.
But there's got to be a better way. So we're
Yeah.
going to talk about it as a team. And
Interesting, yeah. It's not safe sometimes for the traffic control people, so yeah,
Right.
it's kind of weird. Okay, sorry, just want to.
That was a good question. Good question. Ms. Riddell.
Teachers completed their report cards. We had superintendent advisory, the committee on community funding. I had a GPA meeting, and Heather, Bree, and myself attended the CTA conference on how to read the actuals. It was very good. We learned. It was a day of math.
Barrett.
We had our monthly chapter meeting in October. It was the best turnout we've ever had, which is amazing. We were able to pass a vote on a couple items to add to our C's and D's. Our next meeting is November 18th. We're changing the start time to try to get some more people involved. I may have to bring dinner, but that's okay. Tomorrow, our VP and our CSEA representative are meeting with the extended daycare program employees, kind of see how they're doing. Trying to make my way to all the different sites and organize schedules so that I can meet with them as well, and so that we can have our ERC meeting with Mr. Shelley. Monday, I attended the Region 70 meeting. That's pretty amazing with all the chapter presidents. Got some serious information. I need to obtain all this in more time before I can relay it back to you. I attended the community funding meeting. I'm hoping to bring some more information back to my classified people.
And anyone from STAR want to check in?
We were very excited. We had a wonderful carnival. It was very successful. We'll be meeting. We actually will be holding a closed session meeting this next week to just kind of go over all of our finances and all of our fundraising opportunities for the following year. So there's no need to attend for that one. And then also we are very excited. We're going to be doing our Give and Gather on December 5th, Friday. That's going to be a community event that you can drop a toy, a new jacket, and so forth. Anything you want can be at Toro Park. And we will be doing a movie on the grass. We'll be doing The Grinch and having hot cocoa and cookies and all the good things.
Yeah. And I need to, circle back.
Yeah, just wanted, it was too late to go on the agenda. But I did put out in Parent Square last week. The county committee on district organization will be meeting next Monday, the 17th, to discuss the results of a feasibility study that was conducted for the proposed territory transfer based on a community petition. There is territory transfer in Toro, Sunshine, and Sarah Village. It's being proposed to be moved become part of our district. So the feasibility study has been completed by a CPA, an independent CPA who's conducted the study. So the county committee on district organization will meet on Monday. They are reviewing the results of the feasibility study now, and then they will vote on each of the 9 criteria. According to the study, each of the 9 criteria, according to the CPA, have been met. So now it's up to the county committee to consider each of those 9 criteria and vote on each of those criteria. So we'll find out more on Monday night when they take that vote. So that's Monday at the county office at 6:00.
All right, moving on to community input.
We have 2. One was via email and one is in person. So we'll start with Andy in person.
All right, so you know me. My name is Andrew Hogan, history teacher at San Venancio. I'm here today to discuss the issue of teacher salaries. I've heard a lot of talk on this subject, and I feel that there are actually some misconceptions as it concerns the position of the teachers as it relates to community funding. And quite frankly, how dire it is for teachers in this district. Some of what I'm about to say is not really directed to the board or the administration. You guys are well aware of the situation we find ourselves in, but more to the community, because some of you guys may not be totally aware of the situation. At this exact moment in time, I find myself in the last column, 8th step of the salary schedule. That is a base pay before taxes of $77,280. Of course, I do extra duties like ASB, but I want to compare apples to apples, so the base pay is $77,280. If I were to accept a job at the high school district, my base pay would shoot up to $101,983, a 31.97% raise. Salinas City, $95,335, a 23.36% raise. Pacific Grove, $112,576, a staggering 45.67% raise. I bring these numbers up because teachers are underpaid in this district, while at the same time performing significantly better than the high school district and the Salinas City in terms of academic metrics, and are about the same as Pacific Grove. If we were talking about a 4 to 5% difference, no big deal. But we're talking about 23% on the low end to almost 50% on the high end. I like it here. I don't want to leave, but if I were offered a job at any of these districts, I'd have to say yes. Any plan going forward has to take into account teacher salaries and work out whether it's a 5, 10, 15-year plan on how we're going to get up to those levels. If Washington Union goes community funding, which I do think will eventually happen, that's my own opinion, eventually this district's per pupil funding will be higher than the high school district, higher than Salinas City, and 4th in the county only behind Big Sur, Carmel, and Pacific Grove. Whenever this decision is made, and however long the phase out may be, there needs to be some sort of roadmap. And while I understand there needs to be negotiations, we can at least have a conversation about how long it would take us to get to those levels. With all this said, I'm not unaware of the human impact of going to community funding. 40% of our students are gone, eventually. 40% of our staff are gone, eventually. If I could wave a magic wand, I would fix all of these problems. Unfortunately, I never got the Hogwarts letter. In the end, this is the situation we find ourselves in. And I think it would be very helpful to know what is going to happen long term. And I do think it was helpful, maybe illuminating for some community members to hear those numbers in what they are. Because when I put them in the spreadsheet, I knew that they were bad. I was kind of shocked when I saw those percentages. Thank you.
Okay, this letter was submitted by Adri Crawford. My name is Adri Crawford, and I'm writing this letter as a parent, a volunteer, and someone deeply invested in the long-term health of our district. I want to speak in strong support of WUSD moving to a community-funded model. For years, our district has done everything possible to stretch limited dollars, but we've reached a point where our current funding structure is holding us back. We cannot continue providing the level of education our students deserve while operating from a place of scarcity. Becoming community funded allows more of our locally generated property tax dollars to stay right here, supporting our classrooms, our teachers, and our kids. It gives us stability, flexibility, and the ability to plan for the future rather than just react to each year's. This shift means smaller class sizes, competitive salaries that help us retain great educators, improved campuses, updated materials, and stronger mental health and enrichment programs. It means aligning our funding with the values of this community, which consistently show how deeply it cares about our schools. This isn't political, it's practical, responsible, and what's right for our children. I urge the board to take the necessary steps to move WUSD forward in a stronger, community-funded model. And most importantly, it's a decision that needs to be made swiftly. Our district cannot sit in limbo. Our students, teachers, and families need clarity and action. Thank you.
That's it. That's all.
That's it.
Okay. Moving on to correspondence.
Yeah, we have, we received 2 different correspondences from the Monterey County Office of Education. One was the review and approval of our 25-26 LCAP, and the second was the review and approval of our 24-25 unaudited actuals. And then we also received a letter from the Monterey County Educational Risk Management Authority, what we call MIRMA, which is our workers' comp JPA. They have to publicly disclose information every year in regards to their outstanding liabilities. Their position was a positive position at the end of the year with a net gain of $37 million. So what they do is that satisfies the reporting requirement for districts. And then they have a small reserve that they distribute accordingly to the districts.
Thank you. Okay, moving on down to enrollment.
It's currently 740.
And report on district curriculum.
Washington Union School District completed their first number 1 district rate. The reading screener is starting to be administered in grades K through 2. And thank you to Ms. Garibay, I was able to come and observe. It went really well, very calm. It's a 1-to-1 test, so the teacher is sitting at their device, student has an iPad. It went very well. And then I'm going to go ahead and share the CAS. All right, so this is a lot of information, so I'm just going to go through sort of quickly, but our district did wonderfully. And so what I did was for each slide at the top, you'll see 3rd grade ELA. As we go through, it'll have ELA math, ELA math, ELA math. I put the total percentage met or exceeded. And just as a reminder, a 4 on the CAS means that the student exceeded expectations. A 3 means that they met the expectations. 2 means that they nearly met, that they did not meet the standard. And so for you parents, if you have a 4th grader this year, you're going to be interested in looking at 3rd grade because it's last year's CAS scores. So for 3rd grade ELA, total district-wide 66% met or exceeded, which is great. I want to give a shout out to the Toro 3rd grade math. Look at this, 78% received met or exceeded, which is fantastic. And again, this is math 3rd grade, so great job 3rd grade teachers. 4th grade ELA, again, 72% met or exceeded. 4th grade math, 69% met or exceeded. Am I going too fast?
No.
5th grade, 69% met or exceeded for ELA. 5th grade math, 54% met or exceeded. Our science, 46% met or exceeded, and I will have another slide at the end to address this because I know as I was looking through my data, I thought, oh, that's a little bit low. I mean, I know we can make that go higher. 6th grade ELA, 65% met or exceeded. 6th grade math, 55% met or exceeded. 7th grade ELA, 75% met or exceeded. 7th grade math, 51% met or exceeded. 8th grade ELA, 65% met or exceeded. 8th grade math, 54% met or exceeded. 8th grade science, 50% met or exceeded. So what I did was I broke it down into student group district-wide. So this is 3rd through 8th. So as you can see, I'll just leave this up here, but it has the different demographics. So English only, Hispanic or Latino students, students with disabilities. So we'll go ahead and just leave that up there. And this is the percentage who met or exceeded. Our RFEP students did really well, which is great. This is our math. I divided it by different backgrounds. So English only, all students.
Lily, that is remarkable. Could you go back? I mean, reclassified fluent English proficient. I mean, that's really remarkable.
Those are good numbers
Yeah.
for that, right? They're way above average.
Yeah, which is wonderful. So I hope for all of our EL students next year, I hope that it.
Wow.
Yeah, it seems like once they master it, they do very
They
well.
skyrocket, yeah. The next slide, what I did was it was a change between 2024 and 25 for the student med population. So I thought this was really interesting comparison from 2 years ago to last year. So as you can see, John, like the RFEP students really did do.
Yeah, plus 25.
Yeah. So this is ELA, and then the next slide will show you math. So this is math. Again, our RFEP students did wonderfully.
Lily, our economically disadvantaged students, that's a minus. They went.
Those are, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
And that happened in the last slide as well. It was also, was that the only down?
No,
Oh.
the last two,
Oh.
last three were minuses.
Okay.
So what I did was I also thought, okay, you probably want to know how we did compared to 2 years ago. So this is district-wide, 3rd grade. This is 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago, and so on. So as you can see, we did pretty well. And this is for English language arts, and this entire snapshot is for those who met or exceeded. So that's the percentage that I'm comparing on this slide.
Different cohorts, though, right?
Yes. And then this is math.
Third grade slaying it.
Yeah, 3rd grade, great job. Wow.
Our goals are we 70? What are we? What's our goal? In our
50% exceed, 70% meter exceed.
Yeah, I believe.
yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, can we go back to that slide? What do we think is going on with math there?
I know, I thought the same thing. Yeah. Oh, I was reporting the 3rd year? 3rd, 4th, 5th year.
This is the 3rd year?
Yes. 3rd year this year, yeah.
For math.
So
What about, that's 3rd,
So this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th, 3rd year too, correct? We're
Yeah.
all in the same.
You're right, John, it'd be interesting to compare cohorts too.
Yeah.
See how they're
Yeah,
trending.
that's where you get the true.
Yeah, I never thought of
But
it.
what's interesting about this, the dip is the same with different cohorts. So is it like, hey, math's getting harder as we get up in grades? It could be, I don't know,
it's pretty typical to see math
level out a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
as it gets more difficult.
and sad to say that those are good numbers.
Yeah, you know, that's the hard part. I've seen county numbers on some of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's some in the county that are at 15% meeting or 20%.
Yeah, and at the end I did compare different districts, so you'll see that too.
Okay.
Some schools in single digits.
There's some schools in single digits.
Yeah, it's so sad.
I mean, it doesn't feel good to say that I would like all of the kids to be staying at 70.
Yeah, at least you're above medium. Half the students are doing better, but man, we're struggling in other places. I know that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is ELA, and what I did was just school study. So Toro Park, Washington, San Pancho, and then district-wide. And so this is ELA, this is math. So again, 3rd grade and 4th, excellent job. But district-wide, we're doing great, because when you see the other districts, we really are doing fantastic. And so this is science. So Washington, 5th grade, San Pancho, 8th grade. District-wide, we didn't see a lot of change. And then this is just the changes. So I just did a full snapshot of, sorry, I'm so used to having that screen over there. But I did the snapshot of just ELA, how we changed, math, how we changed, science, how we changed from the comparing 24 scores to 25 scores.
Be steady.
They're pretty steady.
Okay, so then I thought, okay, it's really interesting to compare different districts in the county. So we have Carmel came in at 72.94 meter exceeding an ELA. PG 68.64. We were very close with 67.87. And then Freckles, I put them in because I know they're our neighbor, and then Salinas City, our neighbor as well. But we were the top 3 in the county.
Yeah, 25, that seems low, but comparatively to South County, I think some of those numbers are. Like
I think
you
there's
said.
one in 13%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how do you, that is a struggle.
So I think our teachers and students are doing a great job.
They are.
Okay, and then math, Carmel Unified, 68.86%, PG, 62.5, Washington, 59.91. Again, those are the top three in the county. And then I put Spreckles, our neighbor, just for comparison, 43.93, and then Salinas City, 22.21. And then next steps, I was crunching all these numbers. Just so you know, on December 17th, for ELD for teachers. And again, I know I mentioned this last time, but this is going to be a quick PD on just the different tools they can already add to their toolbox. January 7th, I reached out to MCOE, and so we're going to do a PD on science. And what's really cool with this PD is the day before, the science coordinator has offered to come and do push-in science lessons with their teachers. So they can sign up to do a science lesson in their classroom. And then the next day we'll have the PD district-wide, which I think will be really cool. So sign-ups will be going out to teachers next month in my curriculum update. And then each month I send out different science PDs for teachers to sign up. That's kind of how I'm trying to go forward with it. But overall, I think our district did a great job, and I think our teachers worked really hard. So thank you, teachers.
Yeah.
Lily, do you have, I'm sitting on the back end, do you have data, did you get data about individual students as well? And it's kind of a two-part question. So you got individual data about, these student, this student, this student. How's that aligning with the local measures that you guys are seeing? Was the test pretty accurate compared to what you see
like
already?
measure data. Yeah, that would be interesting to make a comparison. I think each year we're pretty close,
Okay.
But I don't want to say that we're exact. I think we're always a few percentages off. Yeah.
So is this something that you can look at it and see like, okay, this kid, both by state testing and by our local measures, is somebody who's maybe there, but we need to move up, and you're going through and doing all that targeting and looking at who can be intervening with and things.
Yeah, because I print out the CAS scores and we give them to teachers so they can look over it too. And a lot of times they say, oh yeah, I could see why the student.
You're trying to bring those in that almost category up, and you can.
Yeah, the bubble student,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
One other quick thing, sorry, science.
No, go for it, please.
How long have we been doing this current science curriculum for? It's been a few years now.
We're going to actually adopt a new science curriculum next year.
I think it's 2017.
That was like, I know it's coming up sooner.
Yes, so next year we'll pilot and the next year we'll officially adopt.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
All right.
Okay. So on November 5th, we had our second meeting of our Committee on Community Funding. So what we did was we built our agenda based on feedback at the end of the first meeting. So one of the things that was requested was to look at the budget from the perspective of what if we remain community funded. We've had a lot of talk about, what if we remain local control funding? So we've had a lot of talk around, the potential move to community funding. But there was a desire at the committee level to see what we would look like. Could we remain community funded? So what we did is we put together, Gerardo worked really, really hard, and I credit him with a great amount of work on this. We put together 3 budget projections. So what we're going to show you is one, if we remain a local control funded district, with state LCFF, what that would look like from a budget perspective. We also put together numbers if we do a TK phase out. And what I mean by a TK phase out is if you were to make the decision to go community funded, but phase out beginning with any students who are currently in TK and letting them matriculate out all the way through the grade levels. And then the third option would be a grade span phase out, where students would have the opportunity to complete the school they are currently at. And they would go through the highest grade level offered at that particular school. So what we put together was 3 different options. Okay. So these were the information requests leaving the first meeting. The committee wanted salary reports. They wanted a listing of district expenditures. They wanted budget summaries, and then they wanted updates on technology, curriculum, and special education as it relates to the budget. So that's what you're going to hear tonight, and we're going to give you the exact slides we gave them. So we are going to start with our technology report. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
Hey, so we just kind of summarized in this chart the technology tools that we're using every day, from copiers to view boards to teacher devices, student devices, access points, just to kind of give a picture of the infrastructure that is used daily to support the educational program throughout the district. And this is kind of a network map of how our internet signal gets where it needs to go to support the learning in our classrooms. So the internet comes into the district, goes into our server, goes into a series of switches that connect to access points that give us the Wi-Fi that we need to do the work. Part of our network upgrades at the beginning of the year to restore stable internet connection involved getting a new server, which is courtesy of the Monterey County Office of Education, and getting 3 new core switches at each of the school sites. And that was fantastic that the county was able to do that. They're in the process of reformatting our old server to act as like a backup for us, which is wonderful. And so part of that transition at the beginning of the year was transitioning to more of a cloud-based management for our servers and our access points. And so we went ahead and did that. We spent about $11,000 to upgrade the 3 core switches in the MDFs. And those switches can run anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 per switch. And then they have usually a subscription management that's about 3 years in term, and that can run from $500 to $800 depending on the length of term that you choose. And a lot of that was thanks to a donation from the Star Foundation of $50,000 to help us kind of get the equipment that we needed. The $11,000 that we spent initially was from district funds to kind of get us back online. And so what I did here is kind of tried to outline our annual expenses along with the one-time expenses. And so these will be a mix of Star Foundation monies and district money. So the 2 that are listed here up top are one-time fees, so that $11,000 that we spent to get us back online, along with 40 Chromebook devices that we spent with some of the money that Star generously allocated to us. Along with these annual subscriptions like GoGuardian. Some of these are programs that support the instruction in the classroom. Some of them support district communications. Some of them support our data management, internet service through AT&T, through the county office, our cloud management, our business office software, phones, our student information system, SchoolWise Parent Square, our frontline absence management system. All of these things, they're annual fees that we're paying for the service. Comcast, our internet service is provided through a mix of Comcast and AT&T. So just so far this year, with the one-time cost that we talked about, we're at about $130,000 for technology. So we spent about $23,000 of the money from the Star Foundation, and we are hoping to use the remaining $27,000 with our IT service provider to complete some of those switch upgrades and battery backup installations throughout the rest of this year. So we'll get going with those. And what I did here was just kind of to get a picture for how digitally integrated our systems are. These are all of the programs that we're using in the classroom to support the education. And they require a pretty robust network infrastructure to keep them going. We've transitioned to fully digital curriculums at the middle school level for a couple of them. And those require a lot of bandwidth to run. Some of the interactive features of Amplify, for example, and I have a second page. But we have a lot of programs and supplements that contribute to an amazing educational program throughout the district. They just require a lot of infrastructure to support their use every single day. where we are. So I'll turn it over. These are our curriculum financial numbers.
Oh yeah, the curriculum, I shared this at a previous board meeting, but I broke it down into what we spend currently, and then if we had a school district of 440, so everyone could see the comparison. So currently we spend $710,627.22. And then I broke it down just so that everyone can see what we spent for each curricular.
It's almost amortized by the reduction of population, same percent.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you run these numbers by the actual companies themselves? Is it?
Yeah, this is the exact contract price.
Okay.
So those numbers are exact. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to move quickly here. I have a ton of information to share with you guys, and I want to preface this by saying that special education has a lot involved to it. It's complex, and I'm going to talk about some of our obligations as a school district and the financial responsibilities that come with that. So I'm going to move through things. I'm going to move through costs that we currently have. Most of these costs that I'm going to go through are from the last 5 months. So I'll go through these. I'll move quickly, slow down. Tell me to slow down if I need to. Okay. So first of all, we have a contract with Tucci Learning Services. They're for specialized aids for students, and that runs a cost of $120,000. And this is for one student, and I have another one in process. We have a Tucci assessment that's occurring this week. So we will likely have another Tucci contract at $120,000 coming within the next month. We have additional support through Tucci, same thing. We have another support aid that's temporary short term, and that's an extra $13,000. Something that a school district's responsible for is that when we assess a child, a parent has the ability to request an independent educational evaluation. And parents are entitled to one individual or independent educational evaluation per evaluation that we do. So I had a family that did not agree with our psychoed assessment. So we had to bring in an outside assessor, and they charged a flat rate of $7,000. The assessor corroborated everything that we said, and nothing changed with the IEP, but we're responsible for funding IEEs. IEEs have to be funded at public expense, okay? One per assessment. They can't keep going, right? So when you get a family that is potentially disgruntled with the district, you might receive a lot of IEEs. Hence the next one. So we also did an occupational therapy assessment for a student, and parents did not agree, even though the student had well above average scores. They're entitled to an IEE, so we funded it. Okay, that last one was at $7,000. This one's at $5,000, and this is all within the last 4 months. Okay, each year when a district cannot provide service to a student because they don't have the proper programs or resources available, a lot of times small districts like us do not have specialized program for students that have certain disabilities. So they place them in larger districts. In our case, we have a very friendly relationship with our neighbor, Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, so we place students there. Right now, we have 3 placements at Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. This top amount is for their yearly service. That's all the school year, 38 weeks of school. These are some of the minutes that this particular student receives, and that comes at a cost of about $50,000 for that student.
Joe, question.
Yes.
Are you responsible for transportation?
Yes, if they need it. Yep. If we are placing a student, we are responsible for transportation.
So if we're placing a student in PUSD, we have to get them there.
Correct. Yep. And that's big, and we'll talk about that next.
That's a separate cost.
Yeah, our transportation bill from NSUE is about $250,000. And these 3 placements, which you'll see, is also about $250,000. So you're looking at about $500,000 for 3 students. And I'm not saying this because I'm frustrated. This is our responsibility and our obligation as a district. The bottom number, the $5,000, is for their summer school program. And the ESY extended school year, the student has extended school year. Students with severe disabilities that would regress if they stop their schooling over the summer are entitled to extended school year as written in their IEP. Okay, student number 2, you'll notice has a lot bit more. And the reason here is you'll see there's a related service for a one-to-one behavior tag. So this is a student that needs a one-to-one aid all day, every day. And that's why the cost is driven up there to $130,000. And then their 4-week ESY program runs a cost of $13,784. Student number 3, similar to the first student, they're in the same class, I believe. There's a little extra OT minutes, which pushes up their yearly total to about $51,000. And the ESY total, it got cut off, but it's about $6,000, a little bit more than the last one was there. So those 2 students are actually in the same class. This one just has a little bit more with regard to services. We have a case for a student that lives within our district bounds that has never attended one of our schools. He attends a non-public school, and parents are requesting an offer of FAPE from us. FAPE is free and appropriate public education. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But we are obligated to provide FAPE for the student. The parents have submitted a unilateral placement request for this MPS, so they're basically saying that we want our student to attend this non-public school, and we want you to pay for it as part of his IEP. So now we have the process of going through this IEP and making sure we provide an offer of FAPE for this student, and our offer of FAPE is Washington Union School District. In this case, parents are not on board with this, so we're fighting this. This very likely will end up in a legal court situation between family and us as the district. Our lawyer estimates that this is a 6-figure case, so that's something that we have to be planning for on this. Likely $150,000 to closer to $200,000 court case if it makes it all the way. So we are trying our best to exhaust all options, give all offers of FAPE that we can, cover all of our bases. Hence, here's one of our contracts for an assistive technology assessment. We don't have an assistive technology specialist in this district. I tried to get help from neighboring districts, and everybody said, no way, I'm really sorry. We want to help you, but we're too busy. We can't do it. So we had to contract out at $4,000 for this one assessment for assistive technology for the student, among every other assessment possible that you could do. We had mental health, we had psychoed, we had speech, OT, everything that you can do, we did. Okay. So that's coming. That's something that we'll have to talk about in the future as potential litigation. Okay, so another thing that we have going on as an elementary school district, we have IDEA Part C to B. So IDEA is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It's federal law that governs special education in the United States. So it's broken into 3 parts, Part C, Part B, and then Part A we're not even going to talk about. That's adult transition. And we don't have high school, so we don't worry about Part A. So Part C to B, and Part C is early intervention, and that's birth to age 3. So we have the San Andreas Regional Center in our community that serves students with disabilities from birth to age 3. At age 3, they become the responsibility of the school district to which they live in. Okay, so there's kids out in our community, out in our district, that are within this age range that have already been identified as students with disabilities that we don't know about yet. We don't serve them. We really have nothing to do with them at birth to age 3. At 2.5, the transition begins from the regional center to the school district. So we take over. And the law says that on the child's 3rd birthday, an IEP must be in place by the school district. And no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So we have to make sure. The example I've been giving is an interesting one right now. We have 2 C to B cases that are currently in progress, and their birthdays are December 22nd and December 27th. The law says the IEP must be in place by their 3rd birthday. We go on break on December 18th. One of the families just turned in their paperwork last week, and we just got the assessment plan out today. So that gives our team less than a month to do this assessment, which legally we would have 60 days to do the assessment. But in this case, in the C to B case, 3rd birthday, no 60 days, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So our team's going to work really hard to get this assessment done by December 18th. So at that point, we take over. And the interesting part about that is we just don't know. We just don't know. C to B is a wild card. We have no idea who's out there. I'll talk a little bit later.
No.
Yeah.
How do you not know who's out there? Are they coming to us through San Andreas Regional Center?
Yes, and they don't get referred until they're 2.5. At 33 months of age, we hold the transition meeting, and Sark sends us the paperwork.
We don't know before they're like,
Nope.
Yeah, we can't get a heads up
Nope.
of like
33 months is our heads up.
I got, so we got pre-K now, right? So did that number go down to 3 from 4?
No, so we got one less year of service, right? So it used to be when we get these 3-year-olds come in, we'd have to serve them until they're 5. And now with TK being universal and at age 4, we only have to serve them until they're age 4, until they enter our TK program. A little bit of a double-edged sword though, because when they come into the TK program, if they have needs that we can't cover, we'd send them out at this point, right? We have to refer them out to another district.
It's early, but you have to make a decision.
Yes, and I'll talk a little bit about the cases we have right now in a few slides. Okay, here's some general information, and most of this I wanted to talk about financials, but I wanted you guys to have a picture too. Currently, we have 88 TK to 8 special education students in the district, 31 at San Venancio, 20 at Washington, and 37 at Toro. The reason for the higher number at Toro is a lot of them are speech-only IEPs, which is developmental. So that's the breakdown there. Here's in-district versus out-of-district. We serve 37.5% of our special education population is out-of-district, and 62.5% is in-district. These are IEPs by grade, in-district and out-of-district. You'll notice that as they get older, which is a common trend, right? They're being identified here. You know, this is really early in this age range. Most of these are speech, and then they start to get identified as they get older. Okay, a little bit more on budget. Some of these slides, if you're at the town hall, you saw them. So maintenance of effort is a federal requirement under IDEA, which I talked about. It ensures that school districts do not reduce their spending in special education. I put there in simple terms, you can't spend less on special education this year than you did last year, except under certain exceptions, like if you graduate a case that, you know, there's NPSD has a case that's residential placement that's $750,000 a year for the student. So when that student graduates, that's $1 million off their maintenance of effort almost. So there's an exception for that. But generally speaking, you cannot spend less on special education, which is why this is so important to the decision that's facing you guys, is because we can't spend less. And these numbers are not going to go down. Even if we make the move to basic aid, most of these numbers are going to stay the same. Most of our services are to in-district students. Okay, here's the maintenance of effort chart over the years from 2011 to now. Here's the numbers if you want to do the actual numbers, because I couldn't fit the data labels on the bars.
So what's going? Is everything just more expensive? We don't have more kids. I mean, we have some more kids, but we don't have that many. We don't have twice as many kids.
I think this question's come up a few times. Yes, things are more expensive, like assessment and assessment materials and different things like that, just with the cost of everything else in the world is just going up. But the biggest thing is going to be our placements and the transportation, cost of placements, cost of transportation. I've talked about this in this room before. The questions come up, can we bring students back and create our own classes? Yeah, we can. We have one now. But it's really hard to do that when you have a wide ranging span of K through 8, right? Now, and such few kids. So our classes, if we're NPSD and our special day classes had 8 to 10 kids in them, different story, right? The teacher is then being paid for itself. If you hire, let's just play it out that if you hire a K1 SDC, a 2-3 SDC, a 4-5 SDC, and a middle school SDC, that's, you know, you have all those teachers, but how many kids are in each of those classes? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most. So now your teacher cost is going to almost outweigh your placement costs. So that's just a number that you have to look at.
Joe?
Yeah.
In the last 20 years, in your opinion, would you think that the testing process to determine special needs has changed at all?
I don't know that the process has changed, but the number and the frequency has increased. And the number of student referrals that we're receiving from teachers and or parents, that number is definitely.
Do we have a number of students from 20 years ago and see how that's changed over time? Do we know?
Yeah, we could probably get that. We could probably get that.
But you could generate.
Yeah.
And how are you budgeting out for like next year? How do you budget for this?
It's hard. That's the hard part. We don't know.
Is there any kind of planning that you can do?
We look at our maintenance of effort right here.
Right. So you know you're at least.
We know we're above that. And generally, like this year, based on placements and costs and increased costs, I think we're at 1.8 with our budget right now. So we're at 1.8. So this year is a pretty significant increase. And that's just based on the number of kids we have. The number of kids that are requiring services that are costly.
And those COVID years didn't go down.
No.
No.
And these numbers are not going to go down. Whether we stay LCFF, which Sheena's going to talk about next, or whether we move to basic aid, these numbers do not change anywhere significant. Okay, I'll kind of blow through this really quick. I presented at the town hall. Here's a little bit more breakdown of costs. So the staffing, like corresponds with the rest of our budget. Staffing is the most expensive cost at $1.1 million, with 4 special education teachers, 12 aides, 50% director principal, school psych, SLP, and OT. Outside placements make up a large. Here's what I was talking about before. Outside placements and transportation make up almost $500,000. Educationally related mental health services, that's when we contract out with Monterey County Behavioral Health for educationally related mental health, right? There's a difference between a student going and seeing the counselor and a student who has mental health concerns that are impacting their academics. If they have mental health concerns that are impacting their academics, we provide them with educationally related mental health services as part of their IEP. Rising number of students, 88%. There's a 10% threshold that we like to stay in and that we need to stay in. That we're over, and the longer we stay over that, we could find ourselves in some compliance issues with that, which is not. I mean, almost everybody has compliance issues because of that 10% threshold. It's not really realistic.
Yeah, what does that mean? Like,
it would be monitoring. They would be monitoring. Most districts are in what's called disproportionality, or some are in significant disproportionality, where your number of special education students are not proportionate to your student population.
Is this threshold too low or too high?
No, I think it's too low. Now 10% is too low.
Okay. So
we're seeing across the nation, across the state, you're seeing the special education numbers rising.
Districts are trying to say that no, they're not, and they're like 8% or 7%, and they're not meeting this threshold of. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying
it's the other way around.
They're 13 to 15%.
Yeah, 13 to 15% is realistic.
Okay, so they're saying too many.
why would there even be the threshold? If you test, you test, and if they need it, they need it.
Well, so that's the issue, right? You're competing with the child fine law, right? So we also have an obligation under child fine to find students with disabilities, right? It's our obligation to find students with disabilities. So if we're out there looking for them, how do you expect us to stay below the 10%, right? That's what we're competing with.
Right.
But I mean, the disproportionality in districts that are in significant disproportionality, like they just roll with it and they're just being monitored because what are you going to do? It's either that or you're not following child fine.
Is this a federal or a state mandate?
The 10%?
Or just this whole framework?
Well, IDEA is federal, right? So Individual with Disabilities Education Act.
They lose money if they don't spend what they spent last year.
Yes,
so
that's
there's
federal.
Zero incentivization for most federal programs to save money.
Yeah.
The way they structure it is you're penalized if you try to actually.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, I can understand why they're trying to stop school districts from cutting your most vulnerable population, cutting resources, right? Which I understand that, but yeah, then there's no incentive to save money.
That's across the board. That's beyond this. That's the way they operate.
Okay, legal fees, highly variable. You never know with our legal fees. Solely depends on cases. Last year we settled a case in 2024. Board members, you'll remember this. Although we knew that if we took it, we were going to win. Why take it and pay 5 times the price that we were going to pay to go to hearing? We could take it to hearing and probably win and pay $50,000, $60,000, or they were asking for 10. Take the 10. We had to. We didn't really have a choice. I mentioned that other case. Specialized aids. We talked a little bit about that. I have one going on right now, so that number will go up. In a little bit of contrast, and like the slot theory, things changed. Another one finds the slot. We're going to save a little bit on transportation because I had a parent that didn't like the timing of the bus route and decided to transport their own child, which is great. That is so awesome for us because it saves us a ton of money.
But that could change next year.
We pay her mileage. What was that?
It could change next year where they're like, oh, no, this doesn't work.
It could change tomorrow and we'd still have to provide it, right? So we just pay the parent mileage. Great, saves us a ton of money. But you never know. IEE is variable. We have a couple going on right now. And then C to B variable. Okay, last slide that I have is a couple things that we have outstanding right now. The pending 2G8 assessment that I've been talking about, that's going to go through. We will have another 2G8 in the district. So we'll be ready for that. I'm sure you'll be seeing the contract within the next couple months. The autism C to B cases, and I kept talking about that. We have 4 cases in the last 6 months of students that are diagnosed autism that are coming to us in C to B. So what that requires us to do is 3 of the 4 cases are requiring a referral out to MCOE, an MCOE program. The hard part is when we have these 3-year-olds, we have nowhere near a program that can support them, right? Usually what we've seen in the past is these C to B cases are oftentimes speech. A student with a speech impediment that needs a little bit of support and can do 30 minutes a week. And Ms. Swedberg would have her Wednesday afternoons for itinerant kids. And we've never had more than 3. Most of the time we have 1 or 2. And they're almost always speech cases. And we've had them, fine, it works. But in these cases, we have 4 autism cases where Ms. Swedberg, we just can't provide that service on an itinerant level. We don't have the staff. Salinas City has an entire itinerant team, right? Obviously they need it. But we don't have that. And we're not going to be able to provide service for these guys. So we're going to have to look into options for them. So we've actually put out 2 of the cases. We have suggested placement at Bard Blades Elementary School, and both families denied it. It's far away. It's in a location that isn't very desirable. So 2 families denied it. We have 1 upcoming that I think we might be able to serve. I'm not certain of that yet. One of those 2 cases I talked about. The other one is 100% out of our wheelhouse, and we are 100% going to have to refer her to Bard Blades.
But if these parents deny that, then what happens?
Nothing. They have chosen not to take our option, and we will provide itinerant services, but the parents basically have signed on the dotted line saying that, we have offered this, we have denied it, and at this point we'll just provide what we can get, and we'll do 30 minutes weekly of speech or OT or something like that as an itinerant service. But parents have signed saying this is what the district offered. We're willingly not taking it, so this is what we want to do. So we'll see. But the one I have coming up will definitely be pushing for a placement on it because I need it. And then the unilateral placement at Chartwell, I talked about that as the NPS. Parent request for placement. I have another parent that is requesting placement at Chartwell. We've talked about that. More IEEs. And then just kind of on a random note, we had a homeschool student that lives within our district. Again, no way of knowing the student lived within our boundaries. There is some kind of custody battle going on, and I have a court-ordered assessment. So we're responsible for that. They called me and said, you need to assess our student, or MCOE needs to assess our student. And I said, okay. So we got MCOE to do the assessment, but that's at our expense. A lot of information.
Coach, just one last thing.
Yeah.
These are our responsibilities. Any student who lives in our district or is somebody that we assess, that is our responsibility legally for us to make sure that they get their education until they're through 8th grade.
Yeah, I think you had 2 separate points on that. Anybody who lives in our district is 100% our responsibility, no question, right? They live within our district boundaries, ours. The other one that I think you asked is if you assess them, we are responsible for them. Yes, that is true. So if we have a student that was assessed by us and they lived out of district would be a good example, and we assess them and we qualify them, they are ours until they graduate. Okay. With the exception of a basic aid move, a phase out, right? Because the what's at stake, right, is you can't individually, kids that you qualify, you can't remove them on an individual basis. So like, say you qualified an out of district student and you wanted to revoke their inter-district transfer because of behavior, whatever, can't do it. Not acceptable. If you're doing a mass, non-discriminatory, removal of inter-district transfers like what's being discussed now, that's acceptable.
Okay. Really important information, because as we do the business of the district, it's important for people to understand how the business works and what those budget requirements are. So that's why I wanted my team to give you that information as a means of understanding just that, what that is as we move through. So again, I'm going to go back. LCFF. If we decide to remain LCFF as a district, here's what the numbers look like. So Mike's going to scroll through. If you want to go back up, Mike, we've got it divided here. So we've got all of our revenue here. So our total revenue is on this line. I wish we had a bigger screen so I could show you everything all at once, but total revenue, and then we go into salaries, we go into benefits, and as we scroll down, we've got all of our expenses, right? Salaries, benefits, all of our books and supplies, services and other expenditures. So that's your special ed maintenance of effort. We've got travel and conferences, utilities, rentals, lease agreements, maintenance agreements. So all of our operating expenditures are down on this line. A little bit of capital outlay, and then you get to our total expenditures on this line, and then what the difference is. So you can see for year 24-25 last year, we had a bit of a deficit. The reason for that larger deficit than what is normal in our budget is we purchased our electric buses. We received a grant. The grant funding didn't come in by June 30th. So when that grant funding came in after July 1 is applied to 25-26. So we have a bigger surplus at the end of 25-26 because of that grant funding. But it's just a function of numbers based on when that grant came through. So you can see we end up with a bit of a surplus at the end of this year. Where you start to see the deficit hit is 26-27. You can see that we're 166,968 deficit spending. Now, in order to do that, I know as a board, your comfort level, your threshold for deficit spending is somewhere between 150 to 200,000 if we have to deficit spend.
On year 3. Yeah.
On year 3. So what we did was, in order to get within that comfort level in year 2, we would recommend the following. We're going to need to eliminate 2 teachers, and then we'll create a combo class in grades 4-5 up at Washington. We would need to eliminate 1 transportation route, and then teachers would move over in step and column only. There would not be any suggested increase. And we're going to discontinue the ELOP program. There would be possibly other options if we go deeper and start to look at different options to try to maybe get that number down even a little bit more. That would maybe involve eliminating professional development, maybe eliminating all transportation. We just got our electric buses, so I would hate to suggest that as an option. Maybe some instructional supplementals, some of those subscriptions that we saw earlier, that wouldn't make a huge hit in the budget. Some of our general education aids, which they serve an important purpose in the district, but those might all be additional options, even to the extent of maybe eliminating 4-8 music. So that would, by doing this top 2 teachers combo class transportation route, step and column only, no ELOP, we can get our deficit spend down to about $167,000.
What's the ELOP again?
Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. It's a grant that allows us to extend the school day to help provide additional instruction to close the achievement gap. It also allows us to provide some daycare options. So in our district, what we do is we identify our duplicated students and we offer them the Time for Me program. And it allows them to attend the Time for Me program at no cost because the grant pays for that. There are some stipulations with that grant funding. You have to provide at least 9 hours of instruction. So it's till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon when people participate in the program. And you have to provide at least 30 days of that 9 hours of instruction outside the regular school year. So we extend our summer program to 6 weeks. And we contract with the YMCA. Some of that ELOP funding in the last few years has gone to the YMCA to provide a day camp option after summer school. It's becoming, based on the amount of funding we get, and the cost to administer that program is becoming cost prohibitive. So it makes more sense for us to discontinue receiving those funds. Okay. So that's for 26, 27. If we jump to 27, 28, Gerardo, jump in if I make a
Right,
mistake here.
So essentially, if we go for 27, 28, we'll be spending 300,000, 305. But in order to get that down underneath the 200,000 threshold and only deficit 129,000, we would have to do a step and column freeze for a year. So 27, 28, we would freeze the 26, 27. So wherever staff is, wherever they were at 26, 27, we would recommend a step and column freeze. And then we would more than likely raise class sizes. So then that would get us to a deficit spending of $129,000. Then we can in 28, 29, we're looking at deficit spending $670,000 dollars. But in order to get us to a more comfortable deficit spending of $234,000, we recommend a 5% salary reduction. And this would allow us to stay in LCFS.
Well, no, this is if we stayed in.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So are these numbers based upon brand new, like unaudited actuals and the amount of funding that we received?
Yeah, this is based. These are the numbers that I started using my first interim. So the numbers that I have in my first interim, this is basically using that. So the revenue that I have for 25, 26 is the exact same revenue that I have that I'm using for my.
The reason this looks worse too is, we had the graph that everyone dislikes, and then we have a new version.
That's coming. That's up in the slides.
The reason I want to bring it up because it's pertinent now is just from what I'm seeing, it looks like we're getting 600 to 700 less per student from LCFF.
LCFF is going low, and taxes are going.
And then if you multiply that by our 700 kids, that's like $450,000. So the bad news that we had last year we're not getting any better based upon this data. We're getting less LCFF funding than we ever have.
And Gerardo, this is all based on continuing with 740 students?
Yes, this is trying to hold as many in our districts, but I am using about 20 less because I am aware of Salina City, they're not releasing, but the other districts are releasing, but using the history of how many students we're getting from every other district. So by 28, 29, we're about at 680 students because we're decreasing about 20.
Now, what are we consuming on our reserves to try to offset the deficit spending? Because I think you're using reserves.
Eventually we are touching our reserves. So the 166 would cover it by our reserves. So our 1.8 would basically 1.6. Depending if we go to the 1.2, we do the column freeze. Then we go to 1.5, and then we do the 5% salary reduction. We go to 1.3.
So we're burning $500,000
we're burning our
of our reserves just to make those red numbers less terrible.
Right.
Do all of those things that.
Yeah, and that's by doing everything. So essentially by 28, 29, our reserve would be about 1.3, 1.2, and that's including with step and column freeze. This is including no percent on just next year step and column, the following year step and column freeze. The year after that is a 5% reduction to all staff.
Okay.
And if you want to do the TK budget. So the TK budget, this is a TK phase out of we don't I guess the inter districts they're the ones that are currently in graduate out. We end the year with a positive 123. Following year we do a 2 teacher reduction, we have a deficit spending of about $60,000. The following year, 27-28, we have a deficit spending of 181,000. We do decrease by an additional teacher, but we can do additional adjustments, possibly doing reduction of 2 more teachers. We do have.
But isn't that student related? Because as you go over time, you're having less students each year. Is that what's driving that?
Yes. Yes. So one teacher started getting in. What we'll start doing is we'll start trying to embed some combo classes, transportation routes. We would try to eliminate to bring the deficit spending down. So essentially by 28-29, we'll be deficit spending by 443,000, and that's when we would also recommend the 7-column freeze to decrease that deficit spending in 2029. This is the TK phase out.
So TK phase out is anybody who's in now, you let them go all the way through.
Yes.
8th grade.
Yeah. And so essentially what that would do is still hitting the reserve. So we
At the same amounts?
Not the same amounts, but lower, but it is but you are decreasing teachers at a slower rate.
Well, yeah, but then you've also got teachers that are, I mean, if I'm a teacher, I'm not going to stay. I mean, I see the writing on the wall. You're just phasing out. You're losing. I mean, how do you keep that retention?
That is a potential challenge.
Recruitment, I think, is the bigger
Well,
problem.
recruitment, yeah, recruitment,
Well, you're
retention,
filling
same difference.
filling positions for 1 year.
Right. So that's a huge problem.
So essentially by 29-30, that's when the district is considered community funded in the eyes of the state, but we still have about 5 more years of graduating students out. So at that point, we're only funded by the tax revenue, and at that year, we're definitely spending about $676,000. And at that point, the 5% salary reduction would be recommended to try to bring that down, because that's about 1.3 million that we would have to hit in the reserve. So our reserve would be about $500,000 at that point in 29-30. And then the grade span. The grade span, there's well, the only red we see last year, we would have a positive ending fund balance, like I said in the past 3, of about 123,000 this year. Next year, we would have a positive of about 60,000. The year after that, about 291,000. The year 28-29, positive 220,000, and then in 29-30, a positive of 328.
I'm sorry. And what is this? Is just
This is a grade span phase out, so we would stop taking new inter-district transfers, and students would finish the school, the highest grade of the school they're currently at.
okay. So if you're 3rd grade, you're done. If you're
5th
4th grade, you stay at Washington till 5th. Got it.
Wait, in this particular model, which year is community funding?
28-29.
Community funded in the Iowa state in 2029. We hit one of our biggest declines is in 27-28. So the reason
I can't hear anybody, I'm sorry.
So in 2029, in the eyes of the state, we're basically considered basic aid at that, or community funded 2029. But our biggest, I guess you could say, decrease would be in 27-28. That's when our enrollment dips well under to the point where our 3-year average is no longer above the threshold, keeping us in LCFF. So that's one of the biggest issues with TK, is that it's keeping us, the TK phase out is keeping us afloat an additional 2 years. But even though we're well below the number, because the 3-year average, and that's something that we can't control. The state basically said you have to do 3-year average the year before or your highest in ADA.
What happens to our reserve on this one?
Our reserve, 1.8, about 2.3, will be probably close to 3 million by the time this is all done.
So the percentage goes up because they recommend that you keep a higher reserve. So we're adding to the reserve coffers. One of our biggest things in there is we want to do that so we can not have to borrow money to make payroll.
Yeah,
The state's always behind in funding.
And especially when you're community funded, we only get 2 payrolls. It's going to be in November and in March. So your biggest payrolls are how you have to make sure you have enough funds to get you through at least 6-7 months.
Budgeting like a farmer.
What is the recommendation for just as a community funded school district, as a small school district? Is there any special different for reserve recommendations?
Well, so when we talked to Carmel, they had, what was it, 16?
Between 16 and 20.
Percent, but it's recommended. Other districts, they have 40 or 50% because you never know what's going to happen. So it's always better to have a higher reserve. We're at 34 right now, 34. So we're almost to that 40% mark.
So
that's by using both our Fund 17 and our Fund 01.
One's a mandated minimum and the other one's recommended for 12.
So we combine them together for about 34.
So I really appreciate all the work you're putting into this, Gerardo. At the next meeting, maybe I'd like to see the numbers of interdistrict students that we have at every grade level and what it would look like if we did not allow interdistrict for TK and kindergarten. But if you were already in first grade, you continue on. Because to me, first grade is the year that you really start bonding as a class. And I would like to look at that. What would that look like? That brings us out of we would have no lot more interdistrict transfers at year 2032 or 2033.
Oh, no, it would be last time, I think it was 2033, 35, I mean.
Well, but remember, we're not going to let people in if we said no interdistrict transfers for TK or kindergarten.
Yeah, but you're saying that first grader would graduate by 8th
First
grade,
grader
right?
would graduate.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking.
So that.
You're saying that before he's giving us information.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of similar to the TK phase out. That one's kind of similar to the TK phase out. Because this is technically no TKs and no kinders.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. This is
The
no
TK phase out is no TKs and no kinders.
Yeah, so only the TKers stay. And I think we only have.
There's only 3 or 4 out of district TKs.
Currently 4 TK.
Oh, there's just 4 TK. And how many kindergartners?
30.
About 40.
30 or 40.
So those kinders move on to first grade. So this is technically your first grade. But I'm calling it TK phase out because it.
How is the middle school being handled in this? Because I know there was some discussion about allowing middle schoolers to continue on, right?
In every situation here, the middle school phases out. So the grade span phase out would call for us to have a small 6th grade because you phased out the 5th graders, and then 7th and 8th grade would continue out and graduate.
In every scenario, the middle school phases out.
How many middle schoolers do we have that are in district transfers?
A lot. Above the district average. I mean, the middle school brings the district average up.
Hope you want those by grade level?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that
we have them.
At the point that we get to community funded, we think we're going to be having a lot more per pupil spending, right? Like all of a sudden, instead of being $11,000 per student, at the point that we're down to 420 kids, what is our per pupil spending at that point?
That's when it gets to about 18,000.
And then can we pay back our reserve? I mean.
Well, he just said he was kind of adding to it along the way in this scenario, but not in the prior 2.
So I think what I hear you asking is by doing this, can we take the risk of depleting our reserves to pay ourselves back when we get there? The risk in that would be we would deplete our reserves when the recommendation is when you're community funded, to maintain about a 30 to 40% reserve. So it would be, sort of doing the calculations, if we completely deplete our reserve in order to hang on, how long is it going to take to get us back up to a 40%?
Yes, and I understand that's a hard discussion. I just want those numbers. I mean, we're talking about, yes, once we're community funded, we only get money for the kids that are in this district. So any extra kids are a drain on our resources. No different than if we were all sending our kids to York School and they were getting scholarships. I'm paying full tuition at York School knowing that I'm supporting somebody else who can't afford to be there. So I'm just wondering if we get, if we get to that point where we've got $18,000 per student, could we have kept these kids in our district and allowed them to
I think
finish?
we'd have to calculate, the cost of, let's say an in-district family moves in with a high-need special education student that's going to cost us $1 million.
The special ed is
the
a wild
projections and the calculations on that are hard to predict, but could be disastrous,
Yes.
right? So we'd have to be very careful to do that. It's a risky proposition. We'll try to put together some numbers. That would be a cautionary piece of
But
information.
is that
for
also
sure.
taking into account not moving steps and taking a 5% reduction or like?
That would be,
I mean,
the bargaining unit would have to weigh in on that, absolutely. That's a tough sell.
This projection is remaining static with step and column. And no staff reduction, the last one we looked at, right?
There's which one, in the
grade
TK phase out?
In the grade stand.
No, I'm talking the last
There would be
slide.
staff reduction.
But
There
that-
would have to be staff reduction.
Right. But I'm talking step and column, no raise is
Is that part of
included
it?
in
We
it.
calculated step and column only. We did calculate raise.
Correct. I just want to make sure
The assumption
everyone,
would
it's
be-
all the same assumption.
Yeah.
And then Hope, I thought I had those numbers for you, but I don't have them on my phone.
Okay, thank you, Roberto.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing. on
Seriously,
this.
that's a lot of extra work you're doing. I appreciate it.
We're not done with the slides.
There's more.
Okay.
Thank you, Roberto.
Okay, and then we ran through this with the committee. What we did was, we don't have it available. We did a current expense report and a 24-25 expense report. We just, kind of just laid out, other than salaries, benefits, special ed technology, what are the other things that we're spending money on? And we invited the committee to review it and ask any questions about it. And that's, it was a pretty simple, that's a one pager. We don't have a lot left in that.
And as part of our budget, that's a pretty small percentage, right?
Yes.
That's like single digits.
Yeah, it's about 18%.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
it was a little lower than that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so here's what John was talking about. We've seen this slide before. This is LCF's funding per district in Monterey County, LCFF funding and total funding. So this is 23-24, this is 24-25. We're still 24 in the county. What you see, the biggest difference here, and I think what John was referring to earlier, is you see this blue line here, funding per ADA from state aid. The orange is what we receive in property tax revenue. The blue is what we receive in additional state aid. So you can see that blue bar, as our enrollment declines and our tax revenues go up, that blue bar gets a little bit smaller every year. So our overall revenue is primarily being funded by property taxes.
Right, and we lost 400,000+ between those 2 years.
Yeah, there is a hit to the state funding that we receive. And then one of the questions was, how will the district allocate additional revenue if the district becomes community funded? I would prefer the option that says we meet as a board, as a staff, as a community to discuss what our priorities are and what we want to do moving forward. So what I put together is a list of possible options and some alternatives to what we would currently do. We would look at the classes per grade level. Obviously, if we became community funded, there would be a reduction in our current staff, but there could be potential additional staff, perhaps some IAs, especially at the elementary level, perhaps a reading specialist or increased intervention and support. We would obviously look at salaries as well as health and welfare. perhaps foreign language, which did get put on this slide. And then eventually we're going to have to look at Washington Union Elementary and how that goes with district finances. If we're down to a district of 400, 420, 440 students, do we need 3 sites and everything that goes along with that? And then when we have that conversation, it's then what do we do with Washington Union? Do we let it go completely? Do we keep it as a revenue generating site? So perhaps a community facility, perhaps lease it to another entity, the County Office of Education, for different programs. So that would obviously be part of the conversation down the road. And this is a short video that we put together through the magic of AI. This is a 5-minute sort of review of everything that's been covered. So it's something that we could put online that people can view. And so just did that so you can see it, and then we'll post it online.
Washington Union School District is facing a really big decision. You could say it's at a financial crossroads. And the choice they make next, well, it's not just going to affect their budget. It's going to define the future for students and the entire community for years to come. So let's dive in and really understand what's at stake here. Everything really starts with this number, over $1.6 million. This figure right here is the key to unlocking the entire budget puzzle the district is trying to solve. So what is it for? Yep, that's right. That nearly $1.7 million expense is for the specialized, necessary, and legally required services for just 88 students, 88 kids in the whole district. This huge concentration of cost is the main thing driving the budget challenges we're about to unpack. To really get a handle on the district's financial health, you gotta follow the money. And that means we have to dig deep into this one really significant budget item. It's kind of the thread that ties everything else together. And look, this isn't a new problem. As you can see from this chart, these costs have been on a steep upward climb for more than a decade now. What was about $622,000 back in 2012 has just ballooned to the multi-million-dollar figure we're looking at today. It's this constant growing pressure on the budget. So where are these 88 students? Well, they're not all in one place. This breakdown shows they're actually spread out across all 3 of the district schools. Totem Park has the largest group, but you can see they're a part of every school community. Okay, so where's that $1.6 million actually going? Well, this slide breaks it down. The vast majority, we're talking over $1 million, is for essential staff. Think specialized teachers, aides, and therapists. The other big chunks are for transportation and for placements at specialized schools outside the district for students whose needs are too complex to be met in-house. To make this a little more real, let's look at an actual, though anonymous example. The services required for just one student, including things like a one-on-one behavioral rate, can cost the district almost $130,000 a year. It just shows you how intensive and expensive the right kind of support can be. Now, while special education is the big headline, it's not the only thing putting pressure on the budget. To get the whole picture, we need to look at a few other major costs the district is juggling. This chart really helps put that $1.6 million number in perspective. I mean, look at it. It just dwarfs the other essential expenses. For instance, curriculum contracts, the actual books and learning materials for all students. That's over $700,000. And technology, everything from laptops to internet access, adds another $129,000 or so every year. And these curriculum costs bring up another key challenge. Because the district is in these multi-year contracts, their expenses are locked in and tied directly to how many students they have. This creates a really big fixed cost that has to be paid, even as enrollment numbers go up or down. Okay, so that's the financial reality. We've got rising costs pretty much everywhere, but especially in special education. This brings us right to the heart of this whole thing. The district is now weighing 3 very different financial paths for its future. So here are the 3 options on the table. First, they could just stay the course with the current state-based funding model. The other 2 options involve a pretty big shift to becoming a community-funded district. That basically means relying more on local property taxes instead of state money that's tied to how many students show up. The TK phase-out would start the shift with the littlest kids, while the grade span phase-out would be more gradual, letting all the current students finish up at their school before the change fully kicks in. This slide, this really boils it all down to the bottom line. It shows the projected budget for each scenario by the year 2029. If they stay the course, they're looking at a projected $1 million deficit. Ouch. The TK phase-out helps, but they'd still be deep in the red. The huge takeaway here is that only one path, the grade span phase-out, is projected to actually put them in the black with a budget surplus. So this isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. The path they choose is going to have real, tangible consequences for every single student, teacher, and family in the Washington Union School District. Let's take a look at what's really at stake. This is the choice, plain and simple. On one side, you have a future of continued deficits, which, let's be honest, almost always leads to painful budget cuts for programs and staff. On the other side, there's a path to a surplus, and that could mean not just stability, but actual growth. The chance to add staff like reading specialists or start new programs like foreign language. And this isn't just some fantasy. This question, pulled directly from a district committee presentation, shows that the leadership is already thinking about how they would reinvest a surplus back into the schools. It really frames the choice not just as how do we avoid a crisis, but how do we seize an opportunity? And that's really what this all comes down to. This whole situation boils down to one fundamental question that's way bigger than spreadsheets and budget projections. It's about values. As Washington Union stands at this crossroads, it forces everyone involved to ask, how should a community balance the tough realities of being fiscally responsible with its highest hopes and dreams for the education of all of its kids?
They kind of brought in revenue a little late on that AI. They missed the boat. But yeah,
It's so convenient, but it wasn't just cost driven, it's revenue based issues.
Can I add in one thing?
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to be communicating at home with parents and community members and things like that. But for a situation like this, I don't feel AI is appropriate.
Okay.
I don't feel that this is a very human decision.
Yep.
And that I feel that lacks this.
You got it.
And
I agree.
I think
And they missed the boat.
I get that it is convenient, but I really feel like that needs
Yeah.
to be a human.
Okay.
Voice.
Yeah. I mean, the slides are posted, so we'll keep the slides up and we'll make those available.
I want to bring up a couple things. So not just the committee, but like we're taking all comments basically receiving from the community, because I know we had some pretty smart accounting brains out there that wrote a few really had good letters that had great points.
Mhm.
And that information was developed as part of the package that went to the committee too, and it's being shared with us. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that this isn't just the committee. That we're taking all input as we go. And then Mike, you created a sounding board. Can you explain about your sounding board?
Oh, sure. It's just a place where community or the committee members can go and post questions that they have that they'd like answered at our next committee meeting, upload documents that they want to share with the rest of the committee resources. So it really is just a common place where we can keep the discussion going outside of just the scheduled committee meeting.
Is that on the webpage as a link, or how do we get there?
It's available.
That was
to
just
the
available to the
members.
committee.
Okay.
So it's not it's the link's been shared with the members of the committee, but it's not something that would be shared with.
And that'll be the committee package response to all those items that just came up in the meeting last week. That'll be addressed with the package.
Right, like the presentation we just shared was in response to a lot of the questions that were asked in that forum,
Okay.
by committee members.
Okay. So if people have a need to comment further, we'll take the letters directly to the superintendent and the district, just to make sure people can continue to provide comments if they have any questions.
Oh,
I'm a little bit worried about posting that though, Gina, because
I'm not going to post it.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to post it.
It just, I want to let the committee finish.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it is amazing what AI does, I have to say.
You gotta watch it. I don't trust it. Thing.
Well, it sounded.
It sounds so great.
Okay, moving on to action items. The approval of recommendations for recommendations to be considered for the 2026 Monterey County School Boards Association Excellence in Education.
Okay, we get this list every year. Now, this is not where we choose our three. I want to be clear. This is the list that the county sent out, and this is your opportunity as a board to nominate any additional organizations that you feel worthy of a nomination. So you had the opportunity to review the packet that the county sent. If you feel strongly about any other local organizations that you feel fit the criteria and you would like to nominate, this is our opportunity to add additional nominees.
So like Dr. Grover, yeah,
Mhm.
wanted to do that, we missed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he has an organization or in. He's-
Thank you for remembering that.
Yeah, well, it's not just him, it's his wife.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Grover and Dr. Close. I think they do have a I think they created something.
They did.
Yeah. Safe something. Oh, we'll look it up.
We'll figure it out.
Prescribe safe.
Prescribe safe.
Prescribe
That's
safe.
what it
Thank
is.
you.
Yeah.
That's what having a phone.
Okay.
That's perfect. I totally support that. Yeah, I think we just missed that last year.
Yeah.
We just missed it. So if you would like to make a motion and take action on it, we will add it.
So I have a,
So Jennifer made the motion.
yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I will add that to the list and I'll get that back to the county and then we'll get the full list at the January meeting where we will pick our 3.
Thank you. By the way, great presentation. Thank you. I feel like we need the 7th inning stretch, but let's keep going.
Well, on that note, I should have mentioned it earlier. They are coming on December 5th. I'll verify that tomorrow, but I believe it's December 5th.
Just to
At San Ignacio. Yeah.
I love their purpose.
But you're gonna go to Washington too?
Not this year.
I'm
I
not
figured it
sure.
out.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. Good choice.
Okay. Approval of Washington Union School District Governance Handbook.
So at our board retreat, we reviewed the governance handbook and there was one section where we added that we will. It's in the handbook. We added transparency to one line, right? The need, and it was just a confirmation of the importance of transparency within the board. So I made that edit, and then this is the document you have.
I'll move to approve.
All right, in a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to approval of contract with Trans Tax Advisors LLC, Inflation Reduction Act in Washington Union School District.
This is yeah.
Right.
For our electric buses.
Essentially, what happened when we bought the electric buses, we paid $240,000 out of the general fund. So I was talking to someone out of Fresno. They're using this tax prepper consultant, and so what they do is they try to get tax credit back to us essentially. So they're using them. They recommended them, and the deadline is next week. Essentially, what happened, we would get $120,000 back from the $240,000 that we paid. So it's worth a shot. Something.
Does that include their 25% fee?
That does not. So the 120, so we'll get about 90,000 after we pay that.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we paid it out of our bus reserve.
Yes. So.
And there's just a lot of paperwork that they have to file. What are we
No.
paying them to do?
So essentially,
We do it ourselves.
Right.
they do all the paperwork. They do all that. So they take care of all the paperwork from us. They only need a few, the contract and a few documents, depending when we started using the buses, when they arrived, how much we paid, and then they take care of the rest.
Okay. I mean, you often do all of that kind of stuff, but in this case, you're recommending that we use the tax service and do it.
Yeah. So because it's a federal tax reimbursement, so.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'm looking at you, John.
When do these expire? The tax credits?
The tax credits, if they don't start the process next week, then we don't qualify.
So you lose.
Yeah, we lose. We just don't. Essentially, we either our general fund gets 90,000 or nothing. So it's.
All right, I'll make the motion and then we can vote on it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Well, do you want more discussion, John?
Well, I mean, do they have competition?
No, well, I didn't find anybody else. So the district that I was talking to was Fresno Unified, and so they got about 20 buses, and their solar infrastructure. So they're trying to get all of that. They're trying to get as much as they can back.
I would approve if you could just do a little more research to see if there's 2 more companies out there to do it for a reduced rate.
I could try.
Do we need a special meeting then?
Can we just approve it? I mean, I trust you, Gerardo, and you're always
The
looking for
direction
the
would
same
be
money.
get a few more quotes, right?
Or-
to do this because he can't be the only game in town, or they can't be.
I don't know. I could ask.
I don't want you to misconstrue this because you're doing efforts to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, the deadline's on the 15th? That's Saturday.
Friday. Yeah.
Friday's the 14th.
No, but he could turn it in by Monday.
The 17th.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so,
oh my
gosh.
How we can do that?
Yeah, like would he be?
Yeah.
I trust you. I trust you.
Well, no, it sounds like a good deal. I mean, can we just check or?
Yeah, I can check. I'll make some calls tomorrow.
Are we gonna approve this though?
Are we going to
And
amend
then-
the motion?
How
Well,
do you
we can
wanna do
approve it, and then if he finds something better,
That's
let us
what
know.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
the motion's on. I made the
I think
motion.
the tax credit, you're proceeded to go with that, but if you can find a better fee option for the same service, then go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Don't want to micromanage you, but just
Yeah.
like, now you're gonna be all great. 7 a.m. morning coffee. I get it.
I don't drink coffee.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Just waking up slow and calling a bunch of people.
Yeah, no, I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to approval of 5th grade outdoor science school field trip.
Well, this is a presentation you've heard a lot. This is my 8th time going to science school. We're going to Mount Herman again.
Hopefully you get good weather.
Yeah.
There you go. The right one. It's the right. Is it on?
I don't know.
Give me a see what happens. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Okay, history and tradition. We've been going to science school for probably pushing 100 years at this point. My mother-in-law remembers going when she came through Washington Union. Last year we went to Mount Herman. We went to their new campus, which is geared towards elementary students. Their old campus was geared more towards secondary. I'll be talking about the objective. We're going back to Mount Herman, like I said, and the coordination of the trip. Like I said, we've been going on this trip for probably pushing 100 years at this point. Parents as well as grandparents get the opportunity to reminisce about their experiences with their children or grandchildren who now get to attend. And truly, these memories last a lifetime. I still remember my science school trip when I went as a 6th grader when I grew up in Fresno. So I'm really looking forward to having more memories for the students this year. Last year we went in February, right during that huge storm we had. Did not get any sleep, and I did text Jay at 3:00 in the morning saying, "Listen, very stressful. It's okay if you don't come get us. We'll survive for one more day." I had the opportunity to plan the trip from August to January. That's an amazing chunk of time to be able to slowly roll into it. We had a really good group of chaperones, and I mentioned the newer campsites at Mount Herman. The objective for Outdoor Science School is providing the hands-on educational experience for students of any age. With the unique programs available, schools are able to tailor their time at Outdoor Science School for their student-specific needs. Most outdoor science programs are full of hands-on exploration of the surrounding forest and student comprehension of the next generation science standards. This provides a real-world connection to the NGS standards. Not only will students develop important team-building skills and lifelong memories, they will be doing this while learning more about their classmates themselves and the importance of stepping out of their comfort zone. Oh, man, the video's not going to play. Mount Herman is awesome. It understands the importance of teaching foundational science principles and to emphasize and balance this with opportunities for independence, retentional and social growth, or relational and social growth, and physical challenges. Our students will experience science outdoors through our dynamic hands-on environment and Mount Herman core values, character development, stewardship, science literacy, and fostering the wonder of nature. And I had a really great video of the last year's trip with all the videos. It's really great with the chaperones that come. I add them to a shared album. We always have over 700 videos and or pictures to choose from. And I actually have a former chaperone in the back there. So she can attest to the trip. Oh, that's it. Oh, one more. This year, we're actually going in November. We're going on Monday and then going all the way to Friday. So the last 2 years, we've been doing a 4-day trip because it lined up with that day off for that Valentine's Day weekend. This year, we're going back to how it was way back in the day, the week before Thanksgiving break. The kids are really excited to go. We're taking WSC buses. This is Jay's 35th trip this year. Yes, we're so excited to celebrate that with him. And hopefully we can get Miss Claudia to make her second trip up there, so to start her little tradition. And then we are using parents as cabin leaders again. That worked out really well in the past. And although we do miss those high school counselors, we realized that we still can't get them because the high schools won't release them for that time. So we rely on our wonderful parents to volunteer their time and take 5 days off of work to come with us and make this trip possible. That's it.
Looks good. Ruth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve? I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I hope you get nice weather.
Yeah.
I know. Hope it clears
There's a
up.
tiny chance of rain, but that's okay. No crazy windstorms this year.
Okay, and moving on to the approval of picnic tables declared as surplus property.
So through the generosity of the Star Foundation, we were able to replace all of our lunch tables throughout the district. So we are getting rid of all of our picnic tables. So the ones that are still standing, we would like to surplus, and then we will offer them to the community for free once we surplus them. So it looks like we've got about 43 tables that we can offer for people to. We'll put them out in the parking lot on a Saturday, and we'll invite people to come and take them if they'd like to take them.
Motion to approve. Make a motion. Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then on to board policies.
Any questions on the board policies?
I had a couple. One was the policy on the mobile devices. It pretty much aligns with what our policy is right now.
It's just a very slight change, and it was right at the end of the policy.
Yeah.
The new policy, we just created our policy last year, and it was very specific through some work within the district. Yeah. So I didn't revise it. There was one line I added. This.
We need to add, it says after their last class, they can use it, but the bus is a continuum of school. Do we need to clarify that at all?
Those were conversations we have had. And when we wrote the policy, we took that into consideration. It's very hard to enforce it on the bus. What was added, Hope, to that policy was that we'll review it and update it every 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the addition to the policy.
So we wanted to do that, but decided we couldn't enforce it.
It can't be enforced, but everyone just needs to know they got to be on their best behavior on the bus, because it usually just leads to.
And those are conversations that bus drivers had with their ridership, but we felt it would be difficult to create a rule that was unenforceable.
Yeah.
So the bus drivers talk to the kids about responsible use when they're on the buses and do their best to monitor it. We do it on a case-by-case basis. If there's an issue or something is reported, then we handle it administratively.
There is a process for if there is inappropriate usage there, that it can be addressed through bus policy.
Absolutely.
Or your continued ability to ride the bus.
Yes.
Right, you can lose privileges.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
I haven't looked at the student handbook or the parent handbook lately, so I don't know
It's in
how
a
much
separate
is
policy.
in here. What I was thinking, if it's not in there, that it should be in there, that if a child brings a device to school and it's confiscated, the school can search the device. And I don't know whether every child or every student knows that if you ask for it, they have to give it up and you have the right to search it. And I think that should be in the handbook so they know that's a possibility.
I have to check. There is some reasonable suspicion regulation that goes along with it. I don't think you can just randomly search.
Well, whatever's in this policy, because
Yeah.
I was reading the policy and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, that's great for me to know, but did the
Yeah.
parents know that?
There has to be some sort of reason to do it.
Yeah.
There's search and seizure ed code on that.
Yeah.
As long as there's a reasonable suspicion, the low bar.
But I mean, do we have that in the handbook, that if there's a suspicion, I think it should be there so that people know?
Yeah.
And then for the special ed rules, is there anything new in that, in the
No.
policies?
I looked at that one. No.
On
It's all team member makeup, non-public school, which I talked about, and how you contract with non-public schools. Nothing new. I don't know what the exact changes were, but from what I read through, it wasn't anything that we don't do.
Great. Well, I was glad to see the policy was the same, the mobile device policy
Yeah.
was our policy. That's great.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the meeting.
Last month, John, you had a question on the policy regarding contracts.
I reread it, but bottom line is we have to go out to competitive bid for non-nutritious meals. Which I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that, right? So if we're selling Pop-Tarts, you gotta get like 3 bids to do that. Okay?
If we have it all
I'm
delivered.
just saying, so.
Ours is funded through our student council who goes parent shopping.
There you go. There you go. It's free.
We don't have delivery. We don't have a contract with a vendor.
Yeah, the rules the legislature makes up are
Interesting.
All right, do I have a motion to approve
so moved.
and a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And moving on to approval of consent agenda. Is there any?
So Hannah is joining your meeting.
Yes.
It's great.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, future meeting dates, we have December 10th and December 17th.
But I'm quick.
Yep. December 10th will be our annual organizational meeting. And then 17th will be just, there will be a special.
All right. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move. Oh,
No, go ahead. I'll second it.
Hope
All right,
wants to
all those
leave.
in favor? Aye.